Hey guys, I'm Alicia Kazmarek. I'm an elementary art teacher here in Central Iowa, and I'm also a content specialist with AOE. Today I'm going to be showing you an awesome color mixing lesson that you can use at your next fundraiser, while also giving you some tips for running a successful fundraiser. If you are one of the first 1,500 people, you should have received 3 primary colored semi-moist tempera cakes from Jack Richardson, as well as some great Art to Remember products, including paper, as well as some awesome swag. So what you need to do in order to follow along with me in this lesson is to grab some paintbrushes, maybe some paper towels, your 3 paints that you received in the swag box, a water cup, and a Sharpie. The best part about creating art for a fundraiser is that it can actually be part of your curriculum and fit in with various standards. It doesn't have to be an extra. So for this lesson, we're actually talking a lot about color theory and color mixing. And we're starting with the primaries as we would with any other color theory lesson. You can also throw in some extra art history connections with Wayne Thiebaud or even Romero Brito. I myself am partial to bright colors and bold lines, and it just so happens artwork like these are perfect for products that you would order through an art fundraiser. So think of your artworks on things like mugs, bags, different cell phone covers, or even greeting cards, things that families will want to purchase, things that they want to purchase as gifts or to keep for themselves. And the extra bonus is that these fundraising items work as extra advocacy for your art program. So hopefully you've grabbed all the items you'll need today to make this awesome cupcake lesson with me. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine. In fact, it's going to be a lot more cool if you come up with your own color mixing and kind of make it your own. And that's something you can tell your students too. So to get started, we actually want to start with our Sharpie, and we're going to start with the base of our cupcake. Now, I also have created a template for the cupcake base, just because sometimes it's really hard for our younger students to get a good grasp or even get started on a piece of paper. So this is a great way to help them get started, but it also is a great kind of side lesson and idea to fill their page so it gets the right size going for the cupcake base. So you want to either trace around the template or go ahead and draw the cupcake base along the bottom. And so we really concentrate a lot on shapes. And so I kind of liken it to being a trapezoid. So we want to have lines that sort of go in towards the bottom, but of course, they'll eventually run into each other. And then the idea is that we want to kind of make sure that it looks more like a form, like it's a 3-dimensional cupcake. So we want to create the rounded bottom like a cylinder would have. And then you can decide if you want to have a zigzag top of the paper part of your cupcake or just have it straight across. It's really up to you. I like to kind of give it a little flair with our zigzag top here. Before we start the frosting of our cupcake, we actually want to put in the cherry or whatever you want to have as the decoration on the top of your cupcake. This way we don't have the lines that will run into each other and intersect. Our frosting will actually be drawn and then meet the cherry and continue on afterwards. So I'm going to kind of just put the cherry up in the top right area of my paper. Go ahead and add the little window if you'd like in your stem. And then to add the frosting, you have a couple options with this as well. You can just make it the perfectly round top, or my personal favorite and my students' favorite is to actually add the fluffy frosting. So we start at the corner of the bottom or the base of our cupcake, and we just kind of go out like a cloud. So 1 little lump out, 2, and then we really like to call this the shark fin, where it comes to a point, and then the top of the fin will actually run into our cherry. And then we want to kind of mirror the fluffy parts of the frosting on the other side after it continues outside the cherry. So 1 and then 2. And you can kind of accentuate the fluffiness of the frosting by creating lines that continue from the fluffy parts. There we go. Now we can add extra things, so decorations to the base of the cupcake. So this is where paper would be if you were actually making a cupcake, or even sprinkles. So you could add zigzag lines, you could add polka dots, it's really up to you. So I'm actually going to do polka dots in this example to fill the base of my cupcake. And then I like to do the regular rectangles for sprinkles. So once this is ready to go, we can have our paints ready to go as well. So I like to have a variety, different sizes of brushes, especially because we'll be filling a big space, the background, which you want full color when you're creating artwork for a fundraiser, something bold and bright and eye-catching, as well as smaller brushes to fit into the small spaces as well. So make sure that you have your 3 primary colored, blue, red, and yellow, Jack Richardson tempera cakes. So as we start to think about painting on our cupcake, I recommend starting with something small like the sprinkles and cherry, and then maybe the background. Because we are working with tempera cakes and they're sort of like the watercolors, they do run together while they're still wet. So you might want to take a pause in between different areas of your cupcake so that you can get them painted easily. So I would start somewhere small with a smaller brush and just kind of experiment with the different colors. And I'm going to start with a little water on my brush, get my brush wet, and then get a little bit of paint on the end of my brush. And I always help to instruct my students by holding the brush down by the metal part so we have more control over where the paint goes. And so I like to give it a good outline. And as you notice, as I'm putting this paint on the paper, it is super bright and vivid. It doesn't really have the transparency that other tempera cakes might, and it's really bright, vivid, and opaque. Maybe I want to then change the color of the sprinkles, so just tap, 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 and then wipe. And then I think I will do a mixture of blue and yellow sprinkles. So get a little blue, fill in my sprinkles here. And then I can change out my color. So tap, tap, tap to get the color off. Wipe. Take a little bit of my yellow. Fill in the sprinkles this way. And then we also probably want to grab a larger brush to start to fill the background. I noticed that as I filled, I really liked the background being yellow and then having the bright, vivid colors of the actual subject matter in the middle. So I'm going to leave my brush in there, let it dry a little bit. I grabbed my larger brush, and usually when we're painting, we want to give ourselves a nice border or outline as we start to fill the page. So I'm going to go right around my cupcake really carefully. And you can choose to do any color that you like. You can actually even mix a color for the background instead of just having it as one of our primary colors. I'm going to leave it yellow just for our example. Organizing for a fundraiser also does wonders for your everyday organization. You probably already sort your artwork by class, and it's a good idea to use simple methods like boxes, plastic bins, binder clips, or some other way like folders to keep your classwork sorted. The added bonus is that keeping your artwork sorted will help you stay organized for your fundraiser. So generally, when I have artwork, say from the drying rack, I gather it as a class, keep it together in a binder clip, go ahead and grade it, display it, store it again in a folder. When you organize artwork for a fundraiser, specifically Art to Remember, all you need to do is grab it off the drying rack, clip it together with something simple like a binder clip, and have it sorted and ready to go. The little extra step for the Art to Remember fundraiser is slapping a sticker right on the back of the artwork and then sending it off. Art to Remember generally keeps the process pretty simple. After you put the stickers on the artwork and send it off, they'll generate some specific personalized order forms for your students to take home. Once we have those order forms, we distribute them, get the orders in, and the added bonus is that families can also order online. And then the products will come in already sorted by class, and you just have to then distribute them. So they make it very easy. You make the artwork, put on a sticker, send it to them. They send you order forms, and you get the products in the end. So let's check on our painting. Okay, so the painting looks to be dry. So as you and your students may finish a painting like this, encourage them to fill the whole page with color so that it's really eye-catching. So I'm gonna go ahead and start painting the base, and what I wanna do is I wanna experiment a little with color mixing. Now, you may want students to practice their color mixing on a different piece of paper before they work on their actual Art to Remember piece or their actual fundraiser piece. But I'm gonna go ahead and just get started on here. So what I'm going to do is I wanna mix some orange, and we know that red and yellow makes orange. So I'll get a little water on my brush. And I actually like to, I've been experimenting with it a little bit. And so you can work to color the areas with your red first and then add yellow on top, or do them one by one. It's up to you, as long as the paint's still wet and can mix together. So get a little more red on my polka dots here. So I'm going to tap, tap, tap at the bottom, wipe, and then I'm going to get a little bit of yellow and just kind of dab it around in my red first, and then start to mix the colors together. So I've got a lot of yellow in there, so I'm gonna move on to my next dot. So you might need to experiment with hopping from one area to the next so that your colors can mix evenly. So again, I've got a little more yellow, so I'll probably add more red on top of that one to make it the nice even orange like the other ones are right now. Even bring in some red from the other dots. So that's a nice even orange we've got going. And then I think I'm just gonna add a nice red around the polka dots. So my best advice for running a successful fundraiser is to not make it more complicated than it needs to be. Use supplies you already have, create with the same routines you already use every day for getting and distributing supplies, adapt your lessons to fit the art making guidelines of the fundraiser, and make sure your artwork is bright and it fills the page. It's something that's eye-catching. My next piece of advice is to stay organized. Use what you already have in place to keep your class's artwork organized, or start implementing new ideas. So things like the binder clips, the box lids, the bins. Those are cheap options that can help you stay organized day to day, and especially for the fundraiser. The next part is that Art to Remember really helps make this process easy. Like I said, you make the artwork, you put on stickers, ship it to them, you get order forms, you order the product. It is so easy. And then finally, make sure that you are promoting the fundraiser. So you could go to all of these great lengths to create this awesome artwork, these awesome products, but you're not gonna get anywhere without promoting. So make sure you share on social media, through your newsletters, or however you communicate with families. Encourage your students to go home and share with their families as well. So again, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be, stay organized, and then promote your materials. Hopefully you've enjoyed making the cupcakes with me, and you've gained some tips to help run a successful fundraiser for your next fundraiser. Enjoy the rest of the conference.